So, hi, y'all. Wow, you're getting them all in this week.
Oh yeah, you're sick of me.
Never. I promise. Well, I'll tell you if I do. I'm teasing. Or you can come into a modified hero pose, and this can be an amazing stretch for your thighs and even this the insertion at the knee, and also this great calf smash that happens. So it's fun to mix it up. We won't stay here forever, but it's something. If you're not going to take it, it can feel really, really good. The other choice is staff pose. If you have some knee issues, staff pose is another choice. Actually, there's one more. You can also come to, there's two more. Wow. Yoga just keeps going. Cobbler's pose, and this feels really great. You can attach your hands around your ankles. It puts a little bit more effort into our starting position than we typically have, but it can feel really great. Awesome stretch. I'm not like a class about sitting right now. And then the other choice would be fire log. So you bring one foot in front of the other. It's kind of a combination between cobbler's pose and crisscross applesauce, but it pulls this bottom foot out from underneath your shin, which can be kind of great sometimes. It feels really, really good. You get a little extra in the hips, and it's just a little different. So there's always more to explore. I guess that's the lesson inside of that, how to sit this morning. So choose your favorite way and maybe explore something new. And then rock just a little bit side to side, feel into your sits bones. Open your hands receiving and lengthen up through the crown of the head. Inhale your shoulders up towards your ears and roll them down the back. Just a couple of times, just like that. And then roll them in the opposite direction. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and just allow the sensations from inside the body to be what is speaking in this moment. As you breathe, smooth, easy breath in, smooth, easy breath out, and then come to stillness. Stay for just a couple breaths, noticing the inflow and outflow of the breath. And then exhale your chin towards your chest. Ease your eyes open, and we're going to move into some breath work. So you might want to adjust your seat. We'll be here for just a few more minutes. We're going to take our peace sign fingers, place them on we did this on Tuesday, so it's not totally new to all of you. These two fingers sit right here on your third eye, the space right between your eyebrows, and then these two fingers on the outside roll in, and the thumb rolls in. So we anchor here at the center, and we take a deep breath in without closing either nostril. And we exhale out through the mouth once. And then we'll inhale normally one more time. And then close the left nostril. Exhale out through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Close the right nostril and hold both closed for just one count, and then exhale out through the left nostril. Inhale through the left nostril at your own pace. Close for one beat, and then exhale out through the right. Inhale right. Close. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close. Exhale left. Just a couple more rounds. Inhale left. Close. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close. Exhale left. Inhale left. close. Exhale, right. And release the hands down to the knees once more. If your eyes are closed so you could concentrate, just ease them open. Bring your hands to your knees and then begin to elongate the arms, drawing the belly button back toward the spine, chin toward chest. Pull back on the knees, lift the heart, look up, shoulders roll down, lift the chin even, and stretch that space from the collarbones to the chin. And then exhale, roll it in one more time. Inhale, lift. And exhale, round. On your next inhalation, come back up into neutral and spin your right arm up to the sky, reach all the way up, and then plant your left hand on the ground, reach up and over. Gaze up through the top arm, root down into the left hand, push in the direction of the fingertips of that left hand. If you look up, it might be easier to draw that scapula around the spine. If you look down, it's easier to ground. So sometimes even our balance is challenged here. So just notice. Sometimes we can get a little dizzy. One more breath. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands to heart. Lean back, and if your legs are crossed, cross them in the opposite direction. Inhale, reach your left arm up, reach all the way up. Root your right hand into the ground. And reach up and over. And just notice if you look down at your right hand, that feels more grounding, more like you're communing with the earth. And then if you look up, it helps you to open your heart a little bit more. So draw that scapula back around the spine, lengthen the neck, draw this, and then draw the collarbones down and away from the jawline. So all of that is done at like 2% of your effort. There's no forcing. And then on your inhalation, we lift both hands up to the sky and float hands to heart. Checking in with your intention or setting it if you haven't already for today. Set an intention for this practice. We'll inhale the arms down to go up. Bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand behind. Intention setting can be an easy, simple one word kind of deal, or maybe you're working in something a little more complex. Just make it yours, what you need in this moment. Oftentimes, even the more complex things can be boiled down to simple words. Inhale, lift that left arm up and over, one more cross-body stretch. We did a lot of oblique work on Tuesday, so we're gonna stretch out the side bodies. Go deep again today. On your next inhalation, come up, bring one hand to each knee. One more time, around the spine, belly button towards spine. And then pull the heart through, look up. Exhale, neutral. Inhale, arms up. Left hand, right knee, right hand behind. Root into the right hand behind the body. Roll the right shoulder open, lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhale, reach the right arm up and over. Stretching out the space from your right armpit to your right hip. And again, it's the same. If we look down, it feels one way. If we look up, it feels another way. And there's maybe just in a tiny way, maybe it's just like a nuance. Just notice how that feels. Inhale, come up once more, one hand to each knee, belly button towards spine, rounding the back. On your inhalation, we'll pull ourselves upright and you can spin the legs to one side and come up to table pose. Let's inhale and lift our right knee out to the side and take some tiny circles. So just a tiny circle with the hip, with the knee. Sometimes controlling it in this tiny circle is way more challenging than the big circle. And now make a big circle, same direction. No rush, just feel into it. And now big circle, still reverse the circle. And then come to tiny circles in that same direction. Inhale, straighten that right leg out behind you. Draw the right foot to the floor, planting the inner edge of the foot on the ground. Plant the left hand and reach the right hand up to the sky, modified side plank. So left knee is down, right hand reaches. Stretch your right hand up and over toward the front of the room. Reach, reach, reach. You feel that in the side body for sure from Tuesday. And now spin the right hand back to the mat. Right knee comes down, lift the left hip or knee out to the side and take those tiny circles. Noticing it's sometimes even hard to make a circle when you're holding your leg up like that. More like triangles, I think I'm making. And then make it bigger. Play with those big circles. And reverse the big circles. Big circles feel kind of good after the little circles. And we'll go back to the tiny circles in this direction. Triangles, rectangles, whatever you got. Whew, one more. And straighten that left leg out behind you. Reach out through the heel and then set the foot down. Inner side of the foot. And right hand comes a little bit more towards center. You can let that right foot spin a little bit behind you. And then left arm reaches up to the sky. Once you get here, open more and more across the heart. And then inhale, left arm up and over. Lengthen. Root into the long edge of that left foot. So that your whole left foot is, the bottom of the foot's on the ground. Stretch out and spin the left hand to the ground. From here, step back to plank. So remember, plank pose can always be knees down if you need it to be. Let's play with that for a moment. Coming to your plank pose. First, notice what happens if you have, let's draw our heart up to that space between the scapulas. So really push down into your hands. Push the heart up into the space between the scapulas, and then exhale your knees to the ground. Tap. Inhale, lift them up. Or not. Exhale, tap. Inhale, lift them up. Exhale, tap. One more lift. And last tap. Inhale, lift. And we'll lift our right foot off the ground. Pull the right foot up into the sky, three-legged down dog. Sink the left heel more and more. Let go of all the weight of the head. On your exhalation, sweep the right foot up between the hands. If the foot lands in a place behind the knee, help it out. Take a hold of it and pull it forward so that your ankle is in line with your knee or the knee is behind the ankle. So once we've arrived in the lunge, left knee comes to the ground. We'll rise in a low lunge. So we'll start out straight up and down. So stack your hips right over that standing knee. Exhale your belly button towards your spine. And let's sweep the hands toward the floor and straighten the front leg, pouring out. Big hamstring stretch. Root into the right heel, the left knee, and drag them toward each other. Inhale, roll into the right foot again, coming back onto the knee, reach the arms up high, and then shift your hips forward, heart upward, maybe adding a little back bend. Exhale, sweeping hands to the ground, stepping back to plank pose. Feel hard up into that space between the scapulas. So you have to really think about this, where your body is in space. Head, hips, and heels all in one line. And then we'll lift the left foot off the ground and pull the left foot up into the sky. Three-legged down dog. Right heel sinks. Head sinks between the biceps. And shake your head a little bit if you need to. One more breath. Left foot sweeps up between the hands and we help it out if we need to. Right knee to the ground. Come straight up and down at first. Reach up through the hands. And if this is hard on your knee, you can bend over your mat right under your knee a little bit. And then we'll sweep the hands, tuck belly button towards spine, sweep the hands to the ground, straighten this front leg. Big hamstring stretch. Draw the shoulders back, heart forward. Drag the left ankle or knee toward, nope, left heel toward right knee. So they don't actually move. You just fix them on the ground and just pull slightly. So always enter into all the cues at like 2% of your effort. So we can stay yoked to breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Then roll that left foot to the ground, rise up. And add the back bend. Where can you soften? Exhale, sweeping hands back to the ground. Lift the right knee off the ground and then step the right foot up next door to the left foot, standing forward bend. Release all the weight of the spine. Tuck your pinkies into your elbow creases and take a couple breaths here in standing forward bend. Softening knees, even more if you need to. Always listening to the body for your edge. And then bend your knees a lot, bringing your torso to your thighs. So just sort of collapsing into your thighs. And then we'll lift the arms, coming up into chair pose. Reaching skyward with the fingertips sinking down through the seat. Yeah, tuck the belly button toward the spine. You look down at your feet, make sure you can still see your toes in front of your knees. Yeah, so we sit back in this pose. It's challenging. On your exhalation, we'll press the air away, float hands to heart center, thumbs tap the sternum. Stand tall, rock your weight a little side to side. Inhale, lift your right knee. Exhale, step it back into a big lunge. So we're gonna get that knee off the ground this time. We're in Crescent Lunge. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, little back bend, maybe, maybe not. You can open your arms a little more, maybe bring them to cactus arms if you like. Inhale, lift the arms, lift the gaze, sweep the hands back to the ground, step the right foot forward next to the left foot, tuck the pinkies into the elbow creases once more. Hang here for one more breath. Begin to bend the knees, torso to thighs, fingertips touch the floor, rising up in chair. Utkatasana, or powerful pose. Sit down deep. Remember, we can still see our toes in front of our knees, our thighs are parallel, and biceps are alongside of ears. When you're ready, you're going to straighten the legs, draw the hands, just circle to the heart, remembering your intention. So each time you see your hands come back together in this way, remember your intention. Rock your weight a little bit side to side, and we'll root into the right foot. Lift the left knee, and ease it back. Stepping back on the mat only as far as feels just right to your body. Find your edge. Inhale, arms down to go up. Maybe adding a little back bend. So this is a balance pose already. So maybe you want to keep your gaze on the ground and just look down your nose at the ground, or maybe you can look up. Maybe on the cactus arms. Inhale, extend the arms skyward. Exhale, hands to ground. This time we'll step back to plank. Two more breaths here, just hanging out in plank. Push your heart up toward that space between the scapulas. Those are those wing-shaped bones on your back. And then on your exhalation, we're gonna roll the heels to the left, right hand to the sky. So you can bring that left knee down to the ground again if you need to. It's another modification for side plank. Reach the right arm up and over the body. Smooth out the breath. Inhale, reach the arm back up and touch your right hip. Right hand to right hip. And then lift the arm back up and over. Stretch it out, side body. And reach the right hand back to the right hip to tap. Inhale, right arm up and over, stretch. And float the right hand back to the ground, bringing the balls of the feet to the earth. Big toes together, knees apart. Take your knees wide and drop your torso between your thighs. You can bring your forehead to the ground. Reach your arms out in front of you, rooting down into the earth with the fingertips, stretching the arms, rock your weight a little side to side. Next exhalation, we'll come up, rounding the spine and step right back into plank pose. From your plank pose, roll the heels to the right, left hand in the sky. Check in with your side plank. Decide if you want to bring your right knee to the ground or not. It's perfectly lovely. All the modifications are there for you. Every day we're a little bit different. Reach the left arm up and over. Stretch out the side body. Maybe your hips lift a little bit when you reach up and over. Maybe they don't. That's okay. On an exhalation, we'll sweep that left hand to touch the left hip. Inhale, switch the left arm up and over. Switch, switch. Exhale it down to the hip. And we'll reach it up one more time. And swim that left hand to the ground. From here, bend your knees a lot. Push your torso back towards your thighs. And then begin to straighten the legs behind you, downward facing dog. So we're in an upside down V. Bend both knees a lot. Pressure torso back towards your thighs, and then begin to straighten the legs once more. Down dog. Bend your right knee, sink the left heel. Up to the tippy toes, sink the heels. Bend the left knee, sink the right heel. Inhale up to the tippy toes, sink both heels. On your next exhalation, let's walk our hands back to our feet, standing forward bend. Breathe in, breathing out. Standing forward bend, one more breath. Inhale, chair. Rising up, sitting down. Exhale, press the air away. Float hands to heart center. Remember your intention. Arms down to go up. Exhale, hands to heart once more. Shift your weight side to side. Lift your right foot off the ground. And see if you can step it forward into a lunge. Coming onto the ball of that back foot. Walk it forward farther if you feel like you haven't really arrived at your edge. Inch it, inch it, inch it. And then inhale the arms up. Exhale, left hand to the outside of the right knee, right hand to low back. Roll your right shoulder open, turning your torso toward the thigh as you sink maybe toward the left elbow. Maybe not. Right hand presses into left hand. And so prayer hands if possible, or keep the hands where they were. So in yoga, we remove competition. You can work on that for the rest of your life, but it's a place where we can say, only us and our mat. It's only us and our body. It's only us in the practice. Just one person. You individually. So me, right? And then we remove expectation. So we don't know where we're gonna go, how deep we're gonna go, or how much we need to back off. We remove all expectation. And we remove judgment. There's no judging ourselves or others, just being in the shapes, being in the breath, being in the moment. On your exhalation, turn your gaze to the ground, set your hands down, Release your torso towards your thigh. Really sinking. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Keep the head in line with the spine. Shoulders roll back. And then from here, we'll plant the hands, step the right foot back, and lift it up into the sky, three-legged down dog. Bend the knee and stack the hip. Pointing that right knee up to the sky, push your pelvis forward slightly. Look under your right armpit. And then gently see if it's okay with your body to look under the left armpit. Maybe you can even catch your right foot in your peripheral vision. On your exhalation, wind your right knee toward your right elbow. Easy does it. Or skip it. Inhale, send it up high. Exhale, right knee towards center, hug it up. Inhale, send it high. Exhale, right knee toward left elbow to tap. Inhale, send it high. And right foot sinks to the ground. Release the heels toward the earth as you let go of all the weight of the head. Rooted in the hands, sinking the heels. One more breath. Walk your hands back to your feet. Release. Now notice that when we come into standing forward bend, it can be a habit to push our weight back into our heels. So see if you can bring your weight over the center of your feet. And then release again through the crown of the head. On your exhalation, root down into both feet. Exhale, tuck belly button towards spine. Roll up one vertebra at a time. Slow motion. Coming all the way, all the way, all the way up. Inhale, arms up once you've arrived. Exhale, hands to heart. Check in with intention. Rock your weight. Now, setting your weight into your right foot, rock forward and back a little bit. So lift your heels a couple of times, just noticing what that feels like. Because as we step this left foot forward, that right heel is going to come off the ground. So on your inhalation, root into the right foot, lift the left knee, and step, big giant step forward, coming with that back heel off the ground, and find your edge in crescent legs. Once you've arrived, we'll inhale the arms down to go up. And right hand to the outside of the left knee, left hand to low back. This is a great way to enter in. You can stay anywhere here along the way that suits your body and begin to sink toward the elbow, taking your time. When we gently enter into these poses, we protect the body. And then root down into both feet. Maybe pressing the left hand down into the right now. Turn the torso. Maybe think about bringing the hands toward the heart center. And again, we remove competition, expectation, and judgment. It's a lot. But when we peel back all these layers, we can just be. Very freeing. On your next exhale, turn your gaze to the ground, set the hands down, root the hands, let the torso sink toward the thigh. So you get a little more stretch maybe in the front of the right thigh, maybe a little more wringing out in the left thigh, left hip crease. And then as you are rooted downward, we'll root into the right foot, send that left foot up into the sky. Bend the knee and stack the hip. Look under the left armpit at first. Rooted. And the hands rooted in the right foot. Left knee reaching up toward the sky. And then turn your head maybe to look under the right armpit. Maybe catch your left foot in your peripheral vision. Big stretch for the side body. And on your next exhalation, slow motion, bring that left knee toward the left elbow to tap, shifting up in plank. Inhaling, sending it up to the sky. Exhaling, knee into center, hug it up. Inhaling, send it high. And exhaling, right knee toward right elbow to tap. And inhale it up high. Exhale, sink that left foot to the ground. Root into your down dog for one more breath. Peek up between your hands. You can step, hop, or float up to standing forward bend. And release the chest, release the torso all the way toward the earth. Bend the knees, chair. Root down in the feet. See if you can lift up your toes. Exhale your hands to your heart. Soften your toes down. Now see if you can keep your balance and lift your heels. So go straight up rather than forward so that your knees don't come in front of your toes. And then sink back down. Inhale, lift the heels straight up. That's pretty challenging. Exhale, sink down. And one more just like that. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lower. Sweep the arms down to go up. Chair pose. Find your edge. Press the airway, find mountain. Rock into your feet. Stand tall. Thumbs press into the sternum. Remember that intention. Inhale, arms down to go up. Exhale, reach the heart forward, swan dive, standing forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to plank. A little bit lower, Sarah. Yep. Good job. I didn't want to spine. So breathing in and breathing out. I'm not wearing a mask, but I'm here to say, just lift your heart. We're gonna do this. Lift your heart up. Yes, yes. Now, on your exhalation, lower halfway. The elbows come back toward the waist. Gonna draw the heart through. Upward dog and back to downward dog. And once you arrive in downward dog, let's raise our right leg up into the sky. Yep. Gorgeous. Yep, yep, yep. Think about lifting from the front of that thigh. Yep, yep. And then on your next exhalation, sweep that foot up between the hands. Take your time, no rush. Help it out if you need to, so that right foot's up between your hands in a lunge. Take your time. If you get dizzy, just take a break. And then when you're ready, we'll rise up into warrior one. So spin the back heel down. Spin the back heel down, warrior one. Yeah, 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 that's right, that's right, good job. So bend your front knee toward the 90 degree, but anywhere behind the spine. Yep, beautiful. Sorry to take away your visuals. So, arms are lifted or resting if you need them to be. We're gonna stay here for 3 more breaths. Easy peasy pose, but we're gonna hang out with it today to see what's here. Exhale, step your left foot up next door to your right foot. Bring your hands to heart, mountain pose. Thumbs at sternum, remembering your intention. And then sweep the arms down to go up. Swan dive, standing forward bend. Inhaling, fingertips to shins, halfway lift, lengthen the back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, plant the hands and step all the way back to plank. And then in plank pose, we reach that heart up toward that space between the scapulas. Shift forward on the toes, elbows draw back toward the waist as we lower halfway with power. Inhale, upward dog, roll to the tops of the feet, lift the heart, lift the head, roll the shoulders back, and then roll through toes, downward dog. Left leg rises, right heel sinks, left foot steps between the hands. Help it out if you need to. Right heel comes to the ground. We rise in warrior one. Take your time. So the knee can be anywhere behind the ankle, just not in front of the ankle. So find your edge. Take the arms out of it if you need to. Left foot forward, right foot back. And then we're going to stay here for 3 more breaths. Just notice what's here. Exhaling, sweeping hands back to the ground. Plank pose. Now remember, knees down is an option. So if you want to practice knee down plank, come from plank pose and just draw the knees straight to the ground. So if we walk them too far forward, we take out all the core work and then it's just table pose like we were in at the beginning with those hip circles. Wherever you are, elbows draw back toward the waist as you lower all the way to the mat this time. Uncurl the toes, send your arms out wide, fingertips press down into the earth. Tuck your chin towards your chest at first, and then begin to lift, pressing into the fingertips, lift the crown of the head up. So we're in a wide cobra pose. Exhale, bend your right elbow, look to the left. Inhale, rise, then the left elbow, look to the right. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Slide the hands next to the chest, and then we'll press to the tops of our feet, so upward dog. Sometimes our knees stay on the ground for this, that's okay. Downward dog. Right leg in the sky. Sink the left heel, sweep the right foot up between the hands. Left heel comes to the ground. We'll spin the left arm forward, up and back in a giant circle, warrior two. So now our body is open toward the long edge of the mat. So we're sinking toward a 90-degree in this front knee. The right knee is forward. And so from warrior two, rooting into both feet, smooth breath, gazing over this front hand. We're gonna bend our right elbow and place it on the right thigh. So we're making a lowercase T here. And this right arm is not holding all of our weight. It's just a guide for where we want to stop. And reach the left arm up and over. So when we put a bunch of our weight into this arm, there's a tendency to collapse into the shoulder. So we want to check in, make sure there's all kinds of space from the right shoulder to the base of the neck, and then on the upper side body as well. And reach the left arm up and over, reach, 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 reach. Breathe down into the belly. Modified extended side angle. Root into both feet. On your next exhalation, we'll wind back into warrior two. From warrior two, we'll straighten the front leg, turn your body toward the long edge of the mat. Just rest your arms for a moment. Roll your shoulders a couple of times up and back, up and back, up and back. From here, reach the hands behind the back to clasp right on the sacrum. And then pretend that there's a big bowling ball in your hands. Let it pull you into a little back bend and fold. As you arrive, release the weight of your head. Legs are as wide or as narrow as feels just right in this moment. Release your hands whenever you're ready. Releasing them to the ground or to the thighs, to the hips, whatever feels just right to you. And once your hands are on the ground or on the lower part of the body, we'll shift our weight over, bending the right knee, bringing out the right hip, stretching out the left leg, and back to center. Bend the left knee, stretching out these right adductors. Bringing out the left hip. And then inhale into center. Tuck your pinkies into your elbow creases maybe, and hang. Inhale, hands to the ground, halfway lift. Exhale, heel and toe your feet a little bit closer, no matter where they are, and then bring your hands into your hip creases, sink your tail, and come up super slow motion, rounding up to standing with these wide legs. Once you've arrived, open your arms out wide once more, 5-pointed star. And from here, we'll turn our left toes out toward the short edge of the mat. So you'll be going in the opposite direction from the front of the class. Let your right heel drop back a little bit, and then bend the left knee, coming into warrior two. So move your feet apart as far as you need to come into your perfect version of warrior two. Broad across the collarbones. Sink down into your sits bones, maybe finding a new edge. And then begin to bend that left elbow, make that lowercase t with the left forearm and the left thigh. Right arm reaches up and over. Modified extended side angle. So just like we did earlier, if you look down at the left foot, it's very grounding. So if you're feeling your balance is a little off, it's a great place to look. If you're ready to open up the chest a little bit more, look up at the right upper arm, maybe if it's okay for your neck, and that right scapula will sweep back around the spine a little bit more, maybe. And reach out through the right fingertips. Stretch from the rooting of the right foot all the way through the right fingertips. Broad across the collarbones. 2 more breaths. On your inhalation, unwind back into 5-point star. Turn the toes toward the long edge of the mat. Float the hands into the heart. Sink the shoulders down, remembering your intention. And from here, we'll turn our right toes back to the front of the mat and bend your front knee. Bring the hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Everybody's favorite. So from your plank pose, let's come to forearms. So this is dolphin plank, and knees down here is always an option. Gaze at the space between the wrists, keeping a nice long line of energy from the heels through the crown of the head. Roll the heels to the left, reach your right arm up to the sky. Now, play with this idea, and you can also bring that left knee to the ground if you need to. Play with the idea of sweeping your right hand underneath your left armpit, looking down at your left arm, and inhale, open up. Look up at the right hand up top. Exhale, tuck it and look down. Inhale, unwind, look up. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, unwind, just one more. Tuck and unwind. Reach your arm up and over your head. Bend your right forearm, bring it back to the mat. Sink the hips. Sphinx pose. Good sphinx pose at this point, right? Pull. First, point at the elbows right beneath the shoulders. Then pull back towards you with the hands and the elbows. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Shoulders roll back. 2 more breaths in Sphinx. Exhale, elbows spin out to the sides. Bring your head atop your stacked hands and just take a breath, feeling into the undulation of the breath in the body. Maybe shaking something out if it needs it, maybe not. One more breath here. And then reroute your forearms, tuck your toes, lift back up, and dolphin pose. Check in with your body. So there's this proprioception that we all have. We can tell where our body parts are without looking. So think about your head, hips, and heels are being one line of energy right now. Now roll the heels to the right. Left arm reaches up to the sky. Now play with this idea of scooping under the armpit with the left hand. Inhale, extend. Exhale, look down and tuck. Extend. Tuck. Extend, just one more. Tuck. Extend and reach the left arm up and over. Stretch. Bend the left forearm, come back to dolphin plank. Because you can, you got this. Drag the knees to the ground. Walk your hands way forward. Extended puppy pose, so the tail stays high, the head sinks between the biceps, maybe the forehead comes to the ground. You can root all 10 fingers down into the ground as if you're digging 10 holes down. And release something, maybe the weight of your head. Extended puppy pose. Now outside of extended puppy pose, let's walk our hands over to the left, stretching out the right side body, big stretch. And back through center over to the left side body, big stretch. Maybe sit. Back through center. Come up into table for a moment. Hands and knees. Belly button toward spine, round into cat pose, chin toward chest. Inhale, soften belly toward the earth, cow, lift head and tail, and back into cat. And cow. Step back to plank. From plank pose, lift your right foot off the ground, pull yourself into three-legged down dog. Step right foot up between the hands. Left heel comes to the ground, back into warrior two. So from warrior two, I want to make sure we can still see that big toe on the inside of the front knee. You don't ever want to let that knee drop in. Sink toward a 90-degree angle in this front leg. Reach out with the arms, gazing over the right hand. Sink the shoulders away from the jaw. 2 more breaths here. Now, once more, bend this forearm, place it on the thigh, or reach the right hand to the ground, left hand up and over. So either modified extended side angle or intense side stretch. You do you. Draw the shoulders away from the jaw, maybe looking up at the top arm, maybe not. Maybe looking at the floor if that's what you need. Find your edge. 3 more breaths. All right, 1 more. Spin that left hand to the ground. We'll heel and toe our right foot over toward the long edge of the mat. That back heel pops up off the ground. And then we'll bring the left knee to the ground. Press into the hands, pull the heart forward, shoulders back. This is like lizard pose. We can stay right here, keep that back leg off the ground, whatever feels just right. And then if it feels okay, if you have a happy, healthy right knee, you can roll onto the long edge of the right foot. But let's remember, we want to move this whole leg as one piece. We don't want to torque the ankle to the side, twisting the ankle. We want to think about flexing the foot first and then keeping it flat as if it's pressing into a wall or the floor, a sideways floor, and let that knee drop out to the side. Left hand walks forward, right hand walks forward. Maybe we stay right here. Maybe we push the floor forward, rounding the upper back, tucking chin toward chest. That can feel really great. Maybe we bring the left forearm to the ground and reach the right arm up to the sky. Maybe we walk the right hand all the way forward in front of our mat, looking down, dig a little hole in the ground with our right fingertips, like letting your fingers do the walking, and then slide the forearm back toward the body as you gaze at the space between the wrists, the lizard pose. Hands walk back up under the shoulders. We draw that right knee in. If it's out, step the right knee back next door to the left and you're in knee down plank. Elbows draw back toward the waist. We lower all the way to the ground. Arms are out wide. Once more, fingertips. Tuck chin toward chest. And as you press into your hands, lengthen through the crown. Wide cobra. On your exhalation, we'll bend the right elbow, look to the left. Inhale, come up. Bend the left elbow, look to the right. Inhale, come up. Rooted in the hands, lift. And if it feels like that's boring, you know, walk your hands a little bit closer. Get a little more. Ready for more? Walk your hands maybe an inch closer. Just play. If it's too much, you walk your hands out. That's how it works. On an exhalation, we'll release. Palms plant. One more back bend. So root into the tops of the feet, upward dog. Roll through toes, downward dog. Easy does it. Left leg reaches up. Right heel sinks down. Exhale, left foot up between the hands. Right heel to the ground, and we spin open, warrior two. Staying here in warrior two as we set it up. We're going to modified extended side angle or left hand to the ground, intense side stretch or extended side angle. Reach the right arm up and overhead, root down into the long edge of the right foot. Sweep the right hand to the ground, heel and toe, left foot over to the long edge of the mat, pop onto the ball of the right foot. Stay here for lizard pose or draw right knee to the ground. Toes tucked or not, your choice. Listen to your knee, it'll tell you what it wants. Lengthen through the crown of the head, stay here, or the happy, healthy left knee. We flex the left foot and roll onto the long edge of the left foot. Maybe walk your hands forward. Once more, exhale, belly button towards spine round. Push the floor forward a little. And exhale, maybe bend both elbows to the ground or left arm reaches up to the sky, opening. And left hand swims forward up onto the floor. We dig a little hole, just like the yellow pages add. Let your finger do the walking up there. Stretching out the left arm. And then maybe rebend the elbow, gazing at the space between the wrists. And the home stretch.
No pun intended, right?
Actually, it wasn't, but isn't it great? 2 more breaths here. And then walk the hands back. Roll the knee in, left knee steps back, and this time we'll just walk the knees forward, spin the legs to one side, sit down on the hip, doesn't matter which side, we'll get them both. Twist open. So if your legs are to the left, twist to the right, and opposite. And then switch to the opposite side, just twist in the twist, not the legs. And then wind back into the hips, lifting the legs off the ground. And place your weight in your sacrum, and then roll the feet in the opposite direction. Twist to the left. And close it up, twist in the opposite direction. And unwind, lifting the legs off the ground one more time. Extend the legs one moment in boat pose. Maybe you can keep your knees bent, maybe not. Part your feet. If you can, easy does it, lower all the way to the mat. I have a stage behind me. Easy does it. Using your core to lower all the way, all the way, all the way. Flop. And once you've arrived, flat out, let your palms open up facing the ceiling. Move your feet 12 to 18 inches apart and let your feet flop open. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Soften the shoulders. Soften the jaw. And as you breathe in your next inhalation, see it as if you could breathe in relaxation. As if you could breathe in order to the cells and softness to the whole body. Breathe it in nice and deep. And as you exhale, just press those thoughts, those intentions down into the body, all the way to the feet, that softness, that relaxation, and that order. Inhale it in deeply, filling the whole body, and then exhaling, imprinting it on every cell. Relaxation, order, ease. And then soften your arms all the way to the fingers. Relax the legs all the way to the toes. Surrender completely. On your next exhalation, begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Bend the knees and draw them into the chest. Place one hand on each knee and just make some circles with the knees. A little love for the low back. And then reverse the circles a couple of times. And then simply roll to your right side. Press into your left hand, rising up. Eyes closed to a comfortable seated position. Just take a moment. Notice how your body feels now. Notice how your mind is now. Then draw in, invite a deep breath. Exhaling, chin toward chest. Inhale, arms and gaze skyward. Exhale, hands to heart. Namaste.